To use the AutoTitrator to test TA in wine, you will first need to have a pH buffer at 4, 7, and 10, and then prepare your sample, whatever you're going to test, with a sample cup. And you'll need a 5 milliliter volumetric flask. And I would recommend having a dispense set with DI water. One that can do 50 milliliters is recommended, but I only have a 25 milliliter. Also, before beginning, just make sure that you have enough 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide. Just make sure that the straw goes deep enough. So to turn the AutoTitrator on, there's a switch on the bottom on the back. So once you flip that, it takes about a minute or two to boot up. And while that's waiting, you can take the sample cup that's already on off just by rotating this gray nut clockwise, and then you can take the pH probe and insert it into this hole, and then make sure you can take the this cap off. Once the AutoTitrator has booted up, you'll see this screen. Then you want to hit run, and it will take you to this screen, and we're going to want to set up a calibration. We will be calibrating with the 4, 7, and 10 pH buffer. So you're going to want to change the number of samples to 3, and then go down, and this AutoTitrator has saved methods. So there's a specific method we need to enter for calibration. Both are written down here. So for calibrating, the method is 80005. So we can just enter that. And then hit start. Now keep in mind, before you do anything and in between every titration, you're going to want to wash the probe and pat it dry. I'm doing this with one hand, so it's a little awkward, but you can just take a chem wipe and then just gently dry it. You don't want to press it too hard. So now that we're ready to calibrate, you'll see this page, this menu. The calibration order is always 4, 7, 10. So it's expecting the 4 pH buffer first. So to put these in, you just press up, you'll feel it click, and then tighten the gray nut by turning it counterclockwise. And once it's secured, you can hit OK. And you'll see the propeller inside of the cup start to spin. And each time you calibrate for each pH buffer, it takes 1 minute. All right, when it's done with number 4, or the 4 pH buffer, then we'll say number 2 of 3. So you'll know it's done. So we can just take 4 off. Make sure to wash it. So you just put the 7 in, hit OK, and then it will start. Okay, if you hear that, it's just the propeller colliding with the cup. You can just adjust it until it's no longer colliding. Okay, after 1 minute, you'll see this menu, and then you can swap out the 7 for the 10. All right, once all of the buffers are done, you'll see the result list, and then you can just say OK, and it takes you back to the method screen. So you can take this off and then prepare for the titration of our sample. Once we've cleaned the AutoTitrator. So, as you can see on this sticker for TA, the method should be 80001. And we're going to do one sample at a time. So, you want that to stay as one. So, once you've changed the method ID to 80001, you hit start. And now it's ready for the sample. So, we need to prepare the sample. So all of the samples will be diluted, and the dilution will be 5 milliliters of the sample in 50 milliliters of water. So using a pipette, you can take the sample and fill up a volumetric flask, a 5 milliliter volumetric flask, to the line. And if you have more than one hand, you can do this more accurately. And then you want to take the sampling cup that you're going to use and fill it with 50 milliliters of water. So that's what this dispense set is for. So let me just do that real quick. So you want to make sure when you're doing this that there's no bubbles inside of dispense set. If there are, then you can lift it all the way up and press down quickly over the sink, and it will shoot the bubbles out. When you first fill the bottle with water, it's very common for those bubbles to appear. So once you have the water, you can just pour the sample in. And if you're doing many samples, it's nice to have 2 5 milliliter volumetric flasks and many pipettes. So you can wash one of these and have it drying while you use the other. And you don't need to mix it because the propeller on the auto sampler will do that for you. So you just insert the sample, tighten the gray nut, and from the screen you hit OK. And it will start to mix the sample for you. It will do this for 15 seconds, and then it will start the titration. So the titration has started. There is this pipette that is pulling sodium hydroxide from this storage container and pressing it into the sample cup. And as it does this, it will tell you how many milliliters it has used and the current pH of the sample. You can go to table and it will show you a history, or you can go to curve and it will show you the titration curve. Depending on the TA, the time will vary. The higher the TA, the longer the titration will take, and the less the TA, the shorter it will take. The titration will end when the pH reaches about 8.2 pH. Alright, when the titration ends, you'll hear 2 beeps, and then 2 values will be given. R1, which is the milliliters of NaOH used, and R2, which is the grams per liter of tartaric acid. So R2 is what you'll want to write down. And once you've done that, you can hit OK. And it will take you back to the method ID menu. So if you have another sample, you can hit start. And then prepare that sample and put it in, and then hit OK to start it. When you are done with your last sample, you can take it out, make sure to wash everything, and dry it. And I always put a cup that is dry and clean over the propeller. You want to put the probe back in its container and put the cap back on. And you can just turn off the AutoTitrator with the switch on the back. And that's it.